What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Montana Method podcast one more time. As always, your host, Nelson Rodriguez Jr., author, creator, and everything under the sun of the Montana Method. Today, I have a very special guest. Thanks for coming through, Ivette.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, been trying to do this for a few months. So it's been a long road, but we're here.
It's perfect timing right now.
Everything always happens when it's supposed to, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've been out here hustling all my life. Every day we get into it. Really out here in these streets. That's day and night. Like there's nothing to it. When I was going through it, dog, I never got your call. I never asked for nothing, no. But now I want it all. I promise I'ma do it. Came from rags to riches. Rags to riches. Came from rags to riches. Rags to riches. Came from rags.
How you been?
I've been good, went on a cruise and now I'm back and just, going full force.
That must have been fun.
It was fun.
You're like a super busy person, bro.
Very, very, very busy. Mm-hmm.
Like on another level busy, like for sure. Like I consider myself busy, and you're probably, I would say, way busier than I am.
I have like master multitask talent.
That's definitely a female thing for sure. That is not a man thing.
And I don't watch much TV, so that helps.
That helps, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Men, we're not multitaskers, nor do I try to be either, because it's just not our thing, I'm an old school like knuckle dragger. I like focusing on one task, and I don't like to be bothered until I finish.
I like to multitask until I burn myself out, and then I come back and do it again.
Well, you guys are just... I remember one time I was driving on the highway, and I passed this girl. She was putting on makeup on the phone, like had the phone on her shoulder. She was driving, looking at the mirror, putting on makeup while she had a Subway sandwich in the right hand. And I said, I don't know, bro.
Was she driving with her foot also? And her knee?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because she had both hands full.
You sure? It was probably me.
That's funny. That's funny. Oh, man. But yeah, that's definitely a female thing. You guys are, I would say, I don't know whether to call it a gift or a curse, but...
I would agree with that. Mm-hmm.
It could work very well, but it could also be your worst enemy, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Trust me, I know.
That's just something that's come to you your whole life?
I guess I like to be productive. I like to be doing things. I'm always doing something. Even if you don't see me doing something, in the world, I'm in my yard, I'm gardening, I have to fix something. I don't know. I'm always inventando something. Mm-hmm.
That reminds me of my grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
She's always... Now, unfortunately, she's older and she's sick. So she can't... she's not how she used to be as like mobile. And she has Alzheimer's and that kind of stuff.
Oh,
so,
no. That's tough.
Yeah.
That's really tough.
That's rough. But, yeah, she was a person, and she still is in her old age. Like, it's like we try to get her not to, just walk out the door and start go gardening or something. But she was always very active, always all over the place, always doing something. If she wasn't cooking, she was cleaning. If she wasn't cleaning, she was gardening. If she wasn't gardening, she was like, like on the phone trying to shop for some stuff on QVC.
You have to stay busy because that's what keeps you sharp mentally, physically,
I agree.
Once you lock yourself in your house, just like during COVID, everyone that locked themselves up in the house, everyone went crazy,
For sure.
So just imagine at that old age and not socializing, not having to do things, you just kind of lose yourself.
You do.
That happened to my grandfather also, The, being in la finca and riding on a tractor and being out there to that change, being at home. He definitely deteriorated a lot once he stopped doing things.
That actually reminds me of the old like guajiros from Cuba. They work until they die.
You have to. Yeah.
And they're pretty. That generation lived to be 90. I have my great grandfather met my sister. He lived to be 104.
Wow.
And he was, in his 60s, he fell over and a train ran over his legs, so he lost his legs like in his mid 60s.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. But if it wasn't for that, he still would have worked on the farm, and he still would have, at 60 something, he was still working every day and like going
That's
out.
amazing. That's how I want to be. I want to be like Martha Stewart. She's like in her 80s and she's still doing something new,
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I want to be very sharp, and like I saw this this video. I don't know if I'll be able to find it, but I'll send it to you somehow. My friend showed me this guy that lives out in a mountain in North Carolina, in the middle of nowhere. I'm talking about he bought the land for something stupid like $200, and it's a lot of land. It's like 10 acres, and the guy is pushing 90, and he's sharp. He's old and he walks with a cane, and you see, but mentally he's very sharp, and I think it's that. Like, he has to work on the land every day.
Goals.
And his goal is to get a bunch of people to live. You can live there for free, but to maintain the land.
Oh, that's interesting. Very interesting.
His goal was to be off grid and sustain himself, and he accomplished it.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are going that route.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, modern day, everybody's become pretty conscious of what's in our food and that kind of stuff. So
definitely,
everybody keeps talking about the farms and
I'm trying. That's another thing I'm doing. I'm trying to grow stuff in my yard also. So it's like hit or miss right now.
What are you growing?
I have some eggplants going on. I have a couple of herbs, like rosemary, and stuff like that. I grew some tomatoes.
Have you cooked with it already?
I've cooked as my tomatoes, I have some peppers, so yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, the sustainable farming. I actually got hit up by a friend of mine who she was saying, hey, a few friends of mine are putting money together to buy a cow. So I was like,
for what,
okay.
For milk?
No, to butcher the cow, like to get, like that's the only way you can know where your meat's coming from now, and what's in it and that kind of stuff. So they found a guy, I'm assuming somewhere in Florida, some farm in Florida, that raises his cows they're like grass-fed cows. So it came out, it made sense because it was like something like $2,000, and then it came out to something.
I've heard of a guy, he even sells dog food. People that want dog food fresh, and they use like the bad parts that they don't use for the meat, and they use it for dog food.
Yeah. I've heard of that.
Yeah, I need to get into the healthy eating again. I've drifted.
It's such a struggle for our community more than anything because we love food and we love rice and frying everything. Oh my god! And the food is so good, man. There's nothing that beats a plate of like carne con papa or something like that. Like that's beef stew for those of you that don't speak Spanish. Cuban food is I love it, dude. I can eat Cuban food for the rest of my life. Every day, a different dish. Arroz con pollo, arroz imperial, picadillo, whatever. What's your favorite dish?
My favorite? I like everything. I don't have a favorite. But arroz imperial, it's like every Cuban party is arroz imperial. It gets to the point, it's like, oh my God, more arroz imperial. Ay, Dios mío.
It's so good, though. It's delicious. It's very good. I don't know.
Can we have some masita de puerco, please? It's variety, guys. It doesn't have to always be arroz imperial.
Bro, but it hits every time. I don't know if it's the cheese with the chicken and the yellow rice and the mayonnaise. Like, oh my God. It's so unhealthy, but it's so good. I hate it, bro. Food is such a... You know what I hate about food? It's not like heroin or alcohol, where if you're an alcoholic or if you're a cocaine addict, society's like, okay, he's a drug addict. If you eat food, if you overeat, it's like people shove more food in your face.
Yes.
It's terrible.
It is terrible. The emotional eating, that is terrible. I'm an emotional eater. I love to eat.
And then when you try to have discipline, right? People look at you weird. Like, well, you're on a diet. Like, no, tú estás a dieta. It's like, bro, come on, man. Like, I'm trying to be healthy here.
Are you on a diet right now?
Yeah, I should be. I haven't.
That means no, then.
I haven't been, but I should be. Yeah, it's terrible.
That's okay. We'll get there eventually.
So, Ivette, you grew up in Miami.
I grew up, born and raised in the county of Dade.
That's awesome. When your parents came over, when did they come over?
Both of my parents came on the Maria boat lift from different provinces, but they both came. I think my dad went to California for a little bit, and then he moved to Miami, and then they both met in school and stuff here.
That's cool. My mom came in Mariel. That's why Scarface is such a personal story to me, because that was my mother.
Yeah. My grandmother still to this day, she won't get on a boat. From then, she won't get on a boat. She's still so traumatized from that. I'm trying to convince her to go on a cruise, but it's not happening.
Yeah, my mom tells me the story of they gave her like an apple to eat on the boat, and she'll never eat apples. She was so disgusted. I don't know what happened with the apple and whatever, but she was disgusted
There's
by it.
trauma. There's a lot
Yeah.
of trauma. And then, all of the people that were on there, that they let loose all of the prisons and the mental hospitals and mixed them all in
And
with
the criminals
everyone.
yeah.
And they were exposed to a lot of things. I mean, that was in the 80s. And my
Yeah.
grandma's still traumatized from all of that.
It's pretty wild.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, that's what brought on the whole, an element of it, right? Not the whole thing,
Of
but
what?
the 80s, the Coke wave in the 80s,
It could be.
No, it was an element of it for sure. It was a mix of a few things, It was the Colombians and Mariel. It was several things. But yeah, the 80s was an interesting era.
It was, but and that's how I came about to come here.
You were born in what year?
Jackson Memorial in 1985.
85.
Mhm.
Cool. But that's a good year. My my sister was born in Jackson, but she was born in 91.
Oh, okay.
So, you're a millennial like me. Really? That's cool.
I don't know the terms. I don't know. I get lost in
So
the terms.
from
of what I
81
am.
to 96
Okay.
is millennial.
Okay.
From 96 to I forget where Gen Z ends. It's like 2009 or 10 or something like that.
Okay. So
It's
are
Gen
we
Z.
the last generation with common sense?
Yes.
Okay.
For sure.
It ends with us.
For
All
sure.
right.
Yeah. I think so. And we're also the last generation to experience, like, we experienced the world before the internet,
Mm-hmm.
before cell phones,
Mm-hmm.
and then we got the world with cell phones, the beginning of cell
With
phones,
beepers.
right? The beepers, the beginning of the internet. We're like the last generation that lived through the whole evolution of the world.
Yeah, I try to explain my daughter like the beeper, and she's like, "Why? Why would you even bother? Why would you even bother with
Obviously,
that?"
you have a phone now, but yeah, I get it. Like, trying to explain certain things.
Like, oh my god, I got a 143. A 1, 2, 3. Ah!
That's funny. I remember the AOL Instant Messenger. Oh my god,
Yes,
that was so much fun.
Yes, that was the beginning of human trafficking
No.
on the internet.
That's funny. You're probably right. You're probably right.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was pretty cool to say the least. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you just had so many different, and then everybody still went out and looked for each other. We didn't have cell phones, right? So you had to go out and go to, like, I had to go to Yvette's house and knock on her door.
No, we would meet at the mall. You just
Yeah.
get dropped off and just see who shows up, and just hang out. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Yeah, I miss my childhood, man. The 90s was so much fun.
Yeah.
I talk about it now. It's always funny, right? When you're a kid, you're hurrying up to grow up.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you're an adult, you want to be a kid again.
Mm-hmm. I try to tell the kids that, but yeah, my daughter gets it now. Now that she's, in her
How old is she?
19, she's gonna be
19.
20. Mm-hmm.
She's still...
Yeah, but now that she's like having to work and wanting to buy a car and all that stuff, it's like, oh yeah, being an adult is not as fun.
It's not as cracked up as it.
Yeah.
That's funny. So you had her young. You were in your late teens?
I was 19 when I had her.
Okay. I figured. Yeah, I'm good at math. I'm decent at math. I try to be. That's cool. Okay. All right, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So what part of Miami did you grow up in?
I grew up like behind Mall of the Americas.
Oh, okay.
I
Back when it was Malibu and the racetrack. And all that stuff?
Yes. So that was my spot, the Grand Prix.
You kids in Miami don't even know what you're missing out on.
Yeah, that was the spot. That was the spot.
Bro.
Yeah, I was too young to go to the crazy raves that they used to have back then and all of that.
I experienced that later in the 2000s in high school.
I didn't get to do that. But I did get to just go play la maquinitas and all of that.
Yeah, Malibu was fun. A lot of people don't remember that place behind Mall of America.
It was epic.
I didn't even know this. They changed Mall of America, the name. Now it's called Midway Crossings. What is that?
I've heard it. I don't know. I refuse to accept that new name.
Everyone still calls it Mall of America.
Yeah. Real Miamians.
Yeah.
Real Miamians know. Yeah.
When you know what when Mall of America went down the tubes when they changed the movie theater to a Costco, I said because that was the cheapest movie theater in the entire city. It was $5.
They don't have it anymore? No?
It's a Costco now.
It's a Costco now? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
There was $5 a movie, guys. $5. And you could watch, whatever movie you wanted. And then on the weekends, it was only like $10 or something. It was super cheap.
Well, you can still go. They have $5 Tuesdays at some places.
Where?
And the one by my house is $5 on Tuesdays.
Which
one?
one?
In Homestead.
Oh.
Yeah.
No,
but there's some other ones that they have $5 Tuesdays,
Homestead is another part of the city that's changed a lot, right?
It has changed a lot.
I drove to Homestead the other day. You guys have your own little downtown now and stuff?
Yeah, but they need to stop building. Stop coming to Homestead. Just stay where you are, guys. Don't come.
Listen, Homestead. First off, you can pay me enough money to live down there. That's far, bro. That's far. But I get why you moved down there because it's far away from everything and it's nice and quiet.
Well, I moved there because it was cheaper. It was cheaper to live
That's
there.
another great reason to live there.
Now, maybe not so much. Everything is just expensive. But yeah.
Well, Trump just won the election, so let's see what happens.
Let's go.
Yeah, I vote with my pockets. So
let's. I'm waiting for a market crash. Mama needs a rental property.
That's funny. Oh my god. Okay, so you grew up right by Mall of America.
Right by Mall of the Americas. I lived for some time by West Miami. And then I went to Homestead, Color Ridge area.
From the neighborhood. My aunt bought a house on 56th Avenue and Southwest 4th Street. So I know that whole area intimately. I grew up there. I stayed there in the summers. Then I ended up renting an efficiency from her. When I was 17, I moved out of my mom's house because she moved to West Palm Beach and I hadn't finished high school. So I wanted to stay in Miami. So I rented an efficiency from her in that area. And
back then when efficiencies cost. The efficiency cost. Not now.
Yeah. When you could rent an efficiency for what efficiency is supposed to. But anyway, and then I ended up renting an apartment from her now. She divided like the house in 4, and I rent one of the bigger spots from her now. So I know that whole area intimately. I've been in and out of that place like my entire life.
Well, I've been in Homestead for a while, and I like it a lot much better than Miami sometimes. It's just too hectic down here sometimes.
Yeah. It gets pretty crazy.
But it's starting to get...
When did you leave the city?
It's probably been over 15, 20 years or so. And I just come back and peek in, and then I go back. And that's it.
It's a mission, though. You got to prepare because everything's far.
Like Homestead people, we don't really like to drive in past Cutler Ridge, okay?
It's the same with us in Miami.
Yeah.
We don't like to drive past like Kendall.
Yeah.
Like my absolute limit is Pinecrest. That's the farthest
But
south.
you guys are willing to go north, which is funny.
Hey, I'm not.
No?
I don't go past the Doral, bro. Straight up. If you catch me, the other day I was in Miami Gardens, de Milagro. Now every Wednesday I have to be in Boca Raton, which is, for me is crazy. I don't go north of I don't go north of like Doral.
Yeah, it's just the traffic has become insane.
Hialeah's already, don't even get me started. Hialeah is crazy to drive there. Every time you got to go in and out. Yesterday, I was going to downtown Miami to go see my friend Gus, Gus Villa, sponsor of the podcast, Gus Villa Jewelry.
Hey, Gus.
He picked up my little yesterday, nice and polished.
Nice.
Looks nice. Ladies and gentlemen, the familiar voice of your host, Nelson Rodriguez Jr., taking a quick detour to talk to you about the best jewelry shop on the internet, Gus Villa Jewelry. Let's be honest here, guys. Jewelers in Miami are super shady sometimes. I've even been ripped off once or twice by one of these self-proclaimed alchemists that ended up being these weirdos who sell you a bunch of stuff that make your neck and your fingers turn black. Let me tell you, after I met my boy, Gus Villa, he elevated my bling game. The Gus Villa team, these guys are more than just jewelers. These guys are magicians turning metal and stone into your next head turner. Trust me, these pieces shine so much you can see them from outer space. Head over to GusVillaJewelry.com, and because you're a Monty, that's right, part of the Montana Method crew, you can use the promo code Montana to snatch 5% off your order. You don't just get hooked up with some shine, you get to have some dough in your pocket. Double whammy. So guys, what are you waiting for? Elevate your jewelry game. Show the world what you got. You got some style, you got some bling, you're all blinged up. Come on back after you do that. We've got more Montana Method Madness waiting for you. Now back to the podcast. Anyway, so I went to go see him, and bro, it was a nightmare. You know what it is at 11 in the morning to be. It's all the people that moved here, bro. I blame these transplants. They ruined this place.
They have. Go back.
For real. Leave. Go back to wherever you came from. For real. Okay, so where'd you go to high school?
I went to Coral Park.
Coral Park.
Yeah. And then I went to, for those of you that it was called SFIA. It's like one of those schools that you test out of, And then I went to Miami-Dade, and then I went to NSU.
You graduated, don't tell me, class of 04.
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
No, it was before that. No, I think it was 01, even before that.
01?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Because in 04, I had my daughter. I finished school since I went to one of those schools that you test out.
Oh, you finished faster.
I finished faster.
Okay.
Yeah. So I finished all the tests. I was just like, I'm good at doing tests, you know. So I was just like, boo, 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 boo,
Boo, boo, boo.
yeah. That's kind of what
That
happened.
reminds me of
yeah.
Pac-Man. That's funny. Boo, boo, boo. Okay. No, I remember that. I remember there was like testing and stuff and all that. So they don't do that anymore, do they?
They have like 2 locations that's like through the Miami-Dade public school system that they do the same thing, but it's like it's called Access Academy.
Access Academy.
Yeah, so they still do have it, and it's not like through a Mickey Mouse school.
That sounds super suspect, bro. Access Academy.
Yeah, that's what it's called. Yeah.
It sounds like some shit that we're gonna brainwash you, bro.
But basically, that's what it is. It's just testing, just test.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. Okay. So that allowed you to graduate early. And then what? What was your plan in life? What were you gonna?
I had no plan. My life was really crazy back then, but I guess my life is always crazy. But I had no plan. I just was going to school. I didn't know what I was gonna do, and then I worked for TSA. I started when I was like 18 years old.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and then yeah.
Then you had your daughter.
Well, I had my daughter while I was working in TSA, but yeah. So I did that for a while, and yeah, I kind of stayed in that field for a long time.
Okay. How long were you there?
I was with Homeland Security probably for maybe about 15 years.
15 years.
Yeah,
Wow.
a long time.
Homeland Security, huh?
Yeah.
You must have some cool stories.
Yeah.
Can you talk about them?
No, not really.
Ah, that sucks. All right. All right. That's kind of my thing. You know, I'm a convicted felon, so we talk about like government stuff and prisons and going young. We can't talk about it. That sucks. All right.
Is this live right now?
No.
Or can we take a break for a second or no? Are you going to?
Tell me when we finish.
Okay.
Take a break. You're like, turn off that camera. I'll tell you.
Hold on. Yeah.
That's funny. I never would have thought you worked for Homeland Security. That's interesting.
Yeah, I was. And then I moved from TSA to something else. I used to be an investigative assistant.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Okay. So you can't talk about it, so I'll stop asking. So 15 years of your life. You said you started when you were 18?
I started when I was 18.
So you stopped when you were about 32, 33?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Is that how you transitioned into working for the county?
Yes. Yes, okay. and then I have the best job ever, literally, right now. I'm very,
which is what you do now.
Yeah, which is what I do now. I'm really blessed to be able to get paid to do something that gives back to the community.
That's cool.
Like sincerely, you know. And I work with the best people. I really do. So
what is it that you do?
So I try not to talk about what I do for people because people are weird in the internet. But I manage art programs for kids with and without disabilities.
That's cool.
I help develop new programs. We do a lot of outreach events in the community. We have a lot of different programs. We develop new programs, you know, that don't exist. I manage the social media. We have grants. We're kind of like all over the place, but it's very fun.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's very fun. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So how'd you end up finding that? Because that sounds like a very niche thing.
Totally by accident. I was just, I probably applied like 5 times, you know.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I interviewed like 5 times. Mm-hmm.
That's cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's what society tells you is like the perfect job, working for like the government, the county.
Well, you know, some people, they don't like it. They like to be their own boss and they don't like to be constrained. But I like the stability, you know? So yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of being told what to do at all.
You see? Some people don't like it. For me, I do. I like the stability. Mm-hmm.
Stability's good. Mm-hmm. I don't mind the stability. Or the security or any of those important things when you have a family that you need. For me, it's just there's too much ego in the workplace. Mm-hmm. There's people who are very frustrated in life. And instead of fixing what they're frustrating about, they go out and they take their frustrations out on other people. And since the workplace is where they're at the most, the people who take the brunt of it are their subordinates at work.
Yeah. Which,
I don't really have much patience for it. And I do still deal with it here and there because I do work. I do have like a quote unquote day job. Yeah. I'm in an interesting position. I'm like building a media company but I'm getting paid to build my media company. It's an interesting thing I got going on.
But that's good. Everything always lines up where it has to be.
It definitely does.
But in my case, I work with great people. I work with people who love what they're doing, and
and the work from home stuff is different too. I would assume it's.
Well, I'm in an interesting situation where I am being allowed to work from home for the most part, just because of like personal life issues. I do have to go in person from time to time, depending on what's going on. I had to work the elections, but for the most part, they're very flexible. I mean, I also go above and beyond, but I really do love what I do.
That's cool. So how have you always kind of wanted to be? Did you love art at a young age? Is that kind of how all this came about, or?
No. I mean,
Tell me about it.
every kid likes art. What do you mean, getting into this field or getting into
No,
Fuego?
because a lot of, I mean, you're heavily involved in the anti-communist movement and bringing awareness to the truth about Cuba, but it's always around art. So
yeah,
it's always centered around
it is
art.
funny. It is kind of funny. Even I don't know if you seen some of the stuff that I did when there was a group of artists that used to do stuff in New York also. I don't know if you saw that back then too. Yeah. So I used to be one of the ones in the group, and we would dress up as things and do public protests with art. And I don't know, I kind of fell into it, I don't even know how to explain it. I do love art, right? I don't think I'm an artist. I did make a boat once, with the help of, some friends, and we put the boat in the middle of Ocean Drive. Armamos ahí un lío, ya tú sabes, but yeah, it's just I guess where life is taking me.
Interesting. Where you always rooted into kind of the whole, because obviously all Cubans and all Cuban American kids know about, well, they're not idiots. They know the whole Cuban Revolution and what
we don't know
communism
enough. I'm gonna tell you.
Well,
we don't know enough.
But that the general, it's like you can't deny the obvious truth of what happened, is what I'm saying. Like, we know that there was a Cuban Revolution and that communism took over Cuba, and that Fidel Castro, was a communist, and he did it, like just the obvious truths.
Yeah, we know, but I feel like we know, like, pero por encimita, right? And I think it's not just like the Cuban community; it's all communities across the board. People have so much trauma; they don't like to talk about it.
That's a totally different story. I to this day I talk to people, and they ask me questions about Cuba, and then I tell them, about like los balseros, people who throw themselves in the ocean to try to come to America, and they're like, oh my God, is Cuba that bad that are people? And I'm like, yeah, bro.
No, but like, I don't think our families really talk about things.
No,
like,
they don't.
There were things I just learned about my own family now as an adult, because I became more and more involved in this whole movement, that I'm like, Mima, but why didn't you tell me that like years ago?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
my grandfather from my mother's side, he wasn't a political prisoner, but they were very wealthy, that side of the family, and everything was taken away from them. But I had no idea that they were throwing my grandfather in prison like every week. He was never there for like an extended amount of time, but
he was constantly being thrown in there. And
like there was a period of time where they went attacking people, I guess, by different levels. Like, first we're gonna get the generals, then we're gonna get whatever, and then when it came time to attack all of the wealthy people, he was just being harassed. But I didn't know that. I didn't know that until a couple of years ago, And those are the things where I think like we're doing a disservice, to our other generations, where they need to learn, So yeah, I'm trying to be the annoying mom and saying, oye, tú sabes, en Cuba no hay comida, and this and that, and I'm trying to teach them things. So it's not just the surface level,
No, I totally get it. I was, as a kid, I don't really remember anybody telling me. So you're right. Cubans don't really talk about it.
No.
I'm trying to remember the specific moment where I started finding out about Fidel Castro and like how communism ruined Cuba, and I can't even pinpoint the moment where I learned about it. Funny enough, like I think back and I remember I must have been like maybe in 4th or 5th grade, and my sister, I mean, she doesn't know. We were kids. We're little, and she's writing like a report on Cuba or something. And then my sister wrote. So I mean, she's a little kid. She must have been like 10 or 11, and she's writing this thing, and something about like, oh, Cuba, like you had to write like the name of the country, the government system, what they like, just things about the country, whatever.
Yeah.
And then she wrote, system, governmental governing system, democracy. And then my mom goes, Janacy, Cuba's not a democracy. It's a communist dictatorship.
I wonder if her teacher told her that it was.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows what happened there? But yeah, like that was I must have been maybe 9 or 10, and I was like, "What's communism?"
Yeah.
You know, because I didn't know about government. I was very infatuated with history. I loved history ever since I was very little. But Cuban history didn't really hit me like that until I was a little older. Because I actually went through a phase in my life where I was annoyed by Cubans.
Yeah.
Like, I told people I was Cuban, but it wasn't like... Now I'm proud to be Cuban.
I mean, I'm proud to be Cuban, but I still get annoyed by some of our own people.
No, but it was different. Yeah. Like, I didn't like saying I was Cuban.
Oh.
At one point in my life when I was little. I must have been... That must have been like leaving elementary, middle school, and even in the beginning of high school. Like, I didn't like saying I was Cuban. I found Cubans annoying as fuck. And I only focused on the negative side. But something happened after I graduated high school. I don't know what or how. I think it was because I spent a lot more time around my grandparents.
Yeah.
And I was spending more time around my family and more in like the Spanish-speaking area of Miami. And I completely reconnected with my roots. Like,
that's amazing.
My Spanish got way better because there was when I was little, when I was like middle school, high school, my Spanish got bad for some reason. But then I noticed and I was like, no, wait. So I started reading in Spanish and using Spanish more often as much as I could to make my Spanish, like most people now and I take it as a compliment. Now when I speak Spanish, Cubans and even people from other Spanish speaking countries, they're like, oh, ¿de qué parte Cuba tú eres? And I take that as a compliment because I worked hard to make my Spanish like fluent, So
I get asked all the time, especially if I'm not speaking in English.
Yeah.
¿Cuándo tú llegaste? I'm like, ay, Dios mío, parezco una balsera.
You speak even better Spanish than I do, I think.
Every once in a while, yo meto un disparate. Yeah, every once in a while, but, we understand each other.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, that's crazy to think about. I can't even think of... And then over time, I'm trying to think of when I learned of the things I understand about Cuba now. And I can't even really piece it together. That's crazy. You're right.
But it's a lot, and it's across the board where people, like even people from Venezuela or Nicaragua or whatever, and we're really doing a injustice to our other generations.
A huge disservice to the world.
Exactly, because at least if you're telling your kids, they can grow up, they can go to school and be like, hey, that's BS. What this teacher's telling me.
Correct.
Because my family actually went through that, and you have a story.
Exactly.
And it's important. That's kind of one of the things that, that I try to focus on just even our own Cuban Americans, right? That we feel it, we know, but we're not really educated on what's happening. There's a huge disconnect.
Yeah.
Partly I think it's because everybody has just accepted, like, that's just how it is. It's a lost cause. There's nothing that I can do, so let me just put on my blinders and not look that way,
Yeah, but you can have that attitude and understand what Cuba is, which I don't agree with that attitude, but you can have that attitude and still understand that everything historically that happened in Cuba, like that communism ruined Cuba, Che Guevara was a murderer, he wasn't a good person, like the common sense things that you and I know that people misconstrue, you can... You know what I mean? Like, I don't get, that's part of what I think it just comes down to that our Cuban parents and grandparents didn't talk about it enough.
Yeah.
I think that is, which has changed a little bit. I think it's more, obviously because of social media and things like that, it's become more of a common talking point.
Yeah.
But this is the problem I have with this. I think we spend too much time talking about it with the same people. And the people who need to hear about these things are people who speak other languages, people who are in other countries.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I only do my podcast in English. I used to do it in Spanish. But I was like, bro, what am I doing here? If I want to spread a message, I want to bring my culture to the world.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Sometimes I call it like sometimes we're just screaming into a vacuum.
100%.
Right? And that's, what we've been trying to do, right? With some of our things is taking our issues and translating it away with people who speak English. Like at the last Fuego, we had people that were from different countries. We had people that didn't speak English. We had people from Pakistan, from Bangladesh, from, Americans.
I made a friend with a girl named Dima. She was from Jordan. She's a Muslim. She barely spoke.
Yes.
Yeah. Very nice girl.
She's from one of my other groups, and
that's cool.
And and just being able to educate each other,
100%.
about what's going on in each other's countries.
And I think until all the, because this happens in the Middle East, it's obviously China, North Korea. Until I think all those groups come together and talk about it as a group, and then go to the world and say, "Hey guys, he's Arab, I'm Cuban, she's North Korean." Like, he's Iranian. You don't understand that none of us are from the same place, and the same thing has happened in all our countries. You know? That, I think that's powerful. I even had an idea to kind of like interview different people.
Well, you should go to, and I think everyone should experience this once in their life. But, I'm a nerd. So for me, I enjoy these things. But during United Nations Week in New York, you see
guys
people.
went up there, right?
Yeah.
Last year?
Yeah. I've done it a few times, but I don't think last year, this September, we didn't go, but the one before that, we did. And that was another crazy experience. But we did catch the Canel in front of the
fact that
the mission
guy
office.
was in the United States is crazy, bro.
And then outside was the lady that was running for president for the Socialist Party. To go and support the Canel. It's just disgusting,
It really is.
Yeah, it was just disgusting. Yeah.
And then people wonder why we're like, and then this is a whole nother conversation, right? People don't understand why Cubans are such like staunch Republicans. It's like, because we come from a country where those people that you're voting for went to and destroyed everything, bro. So how do you not expect them to automatically be on the other side of the spectrum when they get here?
Well, the thing is that the Democratic Party has gone like extreme left, right?
Yeah,
it's gone like to an extreme, and I guess there's extremes on both sides. But the Democratic Party is like they're Democrat, then they're Democrat socialist, right?
And then there's communists,
and they're supporting a lot of people. They are supporting dictatorships and are working with like members of different dictatorships from around the world. So it has gone extreme.
100%. Yeah. I mean, I see it. You see it more and more, right? You see like the AOCs of the world and the Leon Omars of the world and all those people. It's funny. She said some really dumb shit that I was just like, bro, shut the fuck up. Like, what are you talking about? She said some shit during July 11th when all the protests happened in Cuba. She was like, oh, we're worried there's going to be a regime change. And I was like, lady, that's the fucking point. Regime change? We're worried there's going to be a regime. First off, the fact that you used the word regime in that sentence and you weren't like, well, maybe regimes shouldn't be in power.
Yeah. Well, let's see what happens.
I think this is just my opinion. As far as Cuba goes, I think China just cut them off, right? You guys posted that on JAR.
Yeah.
I love that page because it's very informative.
Thank you.
Seriously, you guys are doing a very good job.
Thank you very much.
It's a good service to the community. And again, you're doing it in English. That's what matters. When Americans and the English-speaking world gets educated on these things, that's when you're making a difference.
And then there's things that are happening here, and I put it in like Spanglish because then the people who are only speak Spanish, I'm like, I want you to know about this.
I've had an idea forever, and it's going to be such a good podcast. I'm so excited. I'm going up north to Connecticut in December. Okay. And my uncle who came in, Mariel, who has a badass story.
Okay.
And he speaks English. So I'm going to interview him. And it's going to be good. That's the kind of things that I want to bring to the world. Aside from me, like things about me that are important, my culture is huge about me, like super important. So I'm excited about bringing those stories to the English-speaking world.
Well, I'll try to connect you with other people. There's a lot of brigade members, that they went on to be in the military, and they speak English. What? They speak perfect English. A lot of them went to be high-level Marines and other stuff.
That is badass. I definitely got to interview those people.
Yeah, and some of the other people, I'm like, "Oye, you have to speak English." I'm like forcing them to go to 100%. Miami-Dade and learn English,
Because that's the only way to get the message out, man. I'm telling you.
Absolutely. The language is a barrier.
Huge, bro. I have a friend of mine who's a YouTuber, and he has two channels. He has one where he just kind of talks about sports, and then he has another one where he talks about politics.
Okay.
And I told him, bro, the fact that you do this in Spanish, it's important because like Latin America is a whole nother battle because Latin America leans very left and all that. So it's good what he's doing because he's educating Latin Americans and all that stuff. But I was like, bro, if you would have done this, first off, you would have made way more money because YouTube, the way the algorithm works is you get paid from ad spend based on the region that watches you the most. So if, for example, England, United States, New Zealand, and Australia are watching you, you're going to get paid a lot more money than if Argentina or Colombia or Mexico are watching you because they spend more money.
Yeah,
you know?
okay.
And there's money to be made in those markets. So because you didn't do this in English, you're missing out on money. You know? It's just, and let's be real here. The English-speaking community spends money differently than the Spanish-speaking community. They have different buying habits, you know? So it's just been that kind of... I just try to bro, learn English. You know, you learn a new language that's used by the world, right? So it's my 2 cents. That's why I love you, you know, what you do.
Thank you.
You know, what Day does, Spanglish Generation.
Yeah.
You know, even though she's super Spanglish, and I try to tell her, bro, like, pick one. It's too much.
It's hard, you know?
But then you're going to niche, and you're only the people who speak English and Spanish are going to, you know, you got to like, you know, I get it. Trust me. I have the need to speak Spanish all the time, and I catch myself, you know?
Yeah. It's a constant battle of how to post things, you know, and stuff. Do I do this in Spanish, English? And, you know, you just hope it works. Yeah. You know, that's it. Just hope for the best.
Right. So you're involved in like 7 organizations. I'm going to try to list them. So you have JAR.
Yes.
And you have a partner in JAR.
Yes. Kiel. Kiel is my partner for JAR.
Kiel. Shout out to Kiel. She's funny, bro. Yeah, I had her on the podcast and so I told her, I've been to prison. And she was like, fire. And I was like, bro, what? Don't get me started. She's a trip.
She's like, I trust you now.
That's a clip. That's so funny. Oh my God. Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. Isn't that crazy? We live in a society where the government, like, we don't trust. I like that though. You shouldn't trust the government like that. You know, you should look into these kinds of things. Yeah, I like. But yeah, we had a ball, and then I've had Day on 3 times.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, she's one of maybe. No, I think she's the only person who's been on 3 times.
Oh wow!
Yeah. I love talking to her. She's the best, and I love how she's very like. Her perspective is very like. There's a lot of people who give their perspective online, and you lose me.
Okay.
I'm like, bro, I know you're trying to explain something, but one, I already disagree with you. So you already have to come at me a different way for me to try to buy into what you're saying. And 2, your talking points suck. And then 3, you just don't know how to communicate. She knows how to do all 3. She knows how to communicate. She articulates her points pretty well. And you just want to listen to her.
She did amazing reciting her poetry one of the nights that we did.
I was there.
The last Fuego.
I was there.
And you know, even when people see the clips online, it's not the same as seeing it in person.
No.
Yeah, in person it's much better.
For sure.
And we may have her again, but she has some family coming in, so hopefully we'll see. Yeah, we'll make it happen.
Shout out to her. She's great. So let's list out these. So you have JAR, right? Okay. That you run with Kiel.
Yeah.
What else?
And then I just recently became co-president of the Florida chapter for Lola. It's called the Ladies of Liberty Alliance.
That's cool. What is that about?
It's a global network really of ladies from all over the world. Honestly, I didn't even know like how connected they were. I mean, literally they have chapters in Sweden and Pakistan and Israel, everywhere. Cool. And it's a bunch of ladies that love freedom and liberty. So it's very cool. So I'm excited about this.
That's cool.
This new chapter in my journey and how to be able to connect with everyone.
So JAR is Jóvenes Antes de la Resistencia, right?
Yeah, and then we're part of the Assembly of Cuban Resistance. So that's like a whole other.
That's cool.
That's a whole other thing, you know.
It's really interesting.
Yeah.
Is that the CIA? What is it? Como, Cubanos.
No, it's ARC. You've probably seen it. ARC. Asamblea de la Resistencia Cubana.
No, but there's a really cool T-shirt that I want to buy that says CIA, and it's like Cubanos something anti-Castro. I forgot what the I stands for, but it's like CIA, and it's like, oh,
okay.
that's
No,
cool. I
haven't
want to buy
seen
that.
it. I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have JAR, we have Ladies of Liberty,
Yeah. And then
what else?
if you go online, I have people can check out. I also send like medical supplies and food supplies to Cuba, you know, and try to get them to political prisoners and members of the opposition. Now I want to step it up and also send art supplies. See if I could get donations of art supplies just for the artists, you know, to support the art. And you know, that's what I do. Oh, and then Fuego, obviously. Fuego contra Fuego.
right?
Yeah.
Alrighty, guys, taking a quick break from the podcast to bring you a word from our sponsor, Christian J. DePaz. Appreciate him for coming through. He offers a phenomenal service. Guys, you know I'm a big promoter of entrepreneurship, owning a company, starting a business, doing your own thing, and chasing your own dreams. But as the old saying goes, it takes money to make money. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Christian J. DePaz and what he does. He gets funding for new and startup businesses. Christian, tell us a little bit about it.
Thank you so much, bro, for giving us the opportunity to come inside your podcast and help more entrepreneurs start their own business or scale their current businesses. So what we do here at Secure Funding is that we'll help you acquire anywhere between $50,000 to $150,000 at 0% interest rate business credit, so that you can once again start or scale your current business. So if you come hear from our good friend Nelson, there's no other you're coming from, then we'll have him at the podcast and we'll take extra good care of you. With that being said, brother, thank you so much for bringing us on.
Of course. What are you waiting for, guys? Click the link in the bio.
Yeah.
And how did that come about? Is it basically just kind of like doing an event to bring...
Well, how did that come about? I think in the beginning of everything, I always knew the importance of art when it came to this whole movement. I was not really an activist, really. This all was like a snowball effect throughout the years after July 11. But before July 11 happened, I was following El Movimiento San Isidro, and I was following Luis Manuel Otero Alcántara. I was seeing how they would put cameras in front of him, and honestly, it was like an old man that put me on, and I just started watching on social media. So when July 11 happened, you know, I wanted to support the artists. I mean, I did. So I tried to go and reach out and meet some of the people from San Isidro in Miami. And I don't know, one thing kind of led to another there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Kind of like a chain of events.
It was a chain of events, like the universe just putting kind of everything here. So then Fuego came about because I'm friends with Michelle, right? You know Michelle. And Michelle was friends with an artist. And she was like, hey, my friend wants to exhibit his work here. You know, he's Cuban. He's in Mexico. He's anti-communist. And
there you go.
And then, you know, I was just kind of shopping around to see if anybody would let me exhibit his work. We had a couple of ideas, and, you know, someone connected me to Galindo. And Galindo, at first, he thought I was like a prank or something. He hung up on me, I think. He thought I was a communist.
Come on, bro.
He thought I was like some communist person trying to like set him up for something. I don't know. I'm like, no, bro, I'm trying to exhibit some art, you know?
That's funny.
And now, yeah, just honestly, they're reaching out from Cuba. They were like, hey, you exhibited this. Can you show my art? Can you show my art? You know? And honestly, they just want people to see their art. They can't exhibit it there. I mean, obviously, we're trying to sell it for them, try to see if we could help them financially, you know, trying to see if people can come out and bring donations at the event. December 7th, guys, at the event, we're also asking people to bring in donations, either food, medical supplies, art supplies, and they'll get a little raffle. You know, whatever we can do to try to inventar and you know, show them some support.
I love it. Yeah, Galindo's cool people. I love it.
Yeah.
He has that, you know, that super badass, I don't even know what it's made out of, but that super badass art that's when you walk in and it's like the dude and the girl in the dress that's like black and white.
Oh, okay,
it's made of glass. The second I have enough money to buy that from him, it's gone forever. That is the coolest piece of art.
I need to get some jewelry from him. That's what I need. I need to get some jewelry.
I have a friend of mine who did a pendant with him. Yeah, his jewelry is pretty
they
cool.
got a sirenita. It was like a little mermaid in the ship of Cuba.
Wow.
Yes,
that is super cool.
yes, and he did Camancola's face also.
That's cool.
I have to show you. Yeah, he does some cool stuff. Very talented guy, and he's the best. He's just a good person all around. You know.
So that's all right. So we got JAR, Ladies of Liberty, Fuego Contra Fuego.
And then the SOS Cuba aid, and then that's it. That's where I'm tapping out. I'm tapping out right there.
And what's SOS Cuba aid?
That's the humanitarian aid.
Oh,
Yeah.
what you mentioned.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you do all that by yourself? Well, no, you have Kiel and JAR.
Yeah, jars, me and Kiel, and we do that together. I do a lot of the social media stuff and whatever, just constantly multitasking. Instead of watching TV, that's what I do.
Just keep him busy.
I was telling someone something. They were asking me what I do in my spare time, and they're like, "That's what you do for fun?" I'm like, I do regular things too, but yeah, I enjoy this.
So you don't I don't know,
What?
play mini golf or something?
I'll go, but
No, I'm saying you don't have something you enjoy doing.
I like gardening.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I've heard that's very peaceful.
it is therapeutic. It's grounding. Let's
cool.
see what else do I do stuff. I guess. Yeah.
And then you have a really young son, right?
Yeah, I have a 7-year-old also. He's driving me crazy. God bless me. God bless him.
That's a big gauge gap. She's 12 years older than him, no?
Yeah, like 12, 13.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's that like?
They fight just the same. They fight and love each other just the same. Like if they didn't have the age gap, I guess in some points she can help me, So sometimes I have a built-in babysitter, but yeah, it's pretty much the same.
Yeah, that's always interesting to see the siblings when they have the age gap and when they don't have, like my sister is only a year and 8 months older than me.
Oh, okay.
So she was only 1 grade ahead of me, and we're always in the same schools. So it was kind of different in that sense. But then I see,
I have age gaps with my siblings, big age gaps. I wasn't really raised with them.
Are you the youngest?
I'm the oldest.
You're the oldest. Okay.
Yeah.
How many siblings do you have?
I have a stepsister she's 7 years younger than me. Then a half brother that's 14 years younger than me.
Oh wow!
And I have another half brother that's a year and a half older than my daughter.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, we're all over the place.
Modern family.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I have. So funny enough, my father has an uncle that's younger than him.
I have aunts younger than me. I have twin aunts they're 7 years younger than me. I have
That's
an
crazy.
uncle that's younger than me. Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. We're all over the place.
Yeah. Family Cubans. We just
Yeah, these viejo verde, man.
these old men keep having kids. No, I can't have kids.
I'm just kidding.
Well,
Yeah.
not really. My great grandfather, he had 14 kids. Bro.
Holy moly.
14 kids. The youngest was younger than his oldest grandkids.
Oh, wow.
So again, like my father, he has an uncle that's younger than him. And he has another uncle that's like 2 or 3 years older than him. He has another uncle that's like only 10 years old.
Wow.
They have a couple aunts that are kind of like the same age. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. No multiple births, no twins, no none of that. So it was one after the other. Like,
oh, wow. He was busy.
in a 20-year gap, he had 14 kids.
And he could afford them back then. You see, now people can't really afford them.
He really couldn't.
Oh. I was trying to give him some credit.
Don't get me started.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were dirt poor. The stories they tell me. And imagine, my grandma and maybe 1 or 2 other siblings were born before the revolution, but the rest of them, they were all born after the revolution.
Oh, wow.
Well, no, actually, I'm sorry. No. I'm sorry. I was thinking it was no. So half of them were born before, and the other half were born after. That's wild.
Yeah.
So literally, and that's another reason I love talking to my grandparents. My grandfather would always tell me stories about Cuba before the revolution.
Yeah.
He would tell me how my great grandfather would go down to Sears and get a refrigerator on credit, just like you did it here.
Wow. They don't even know what a credit card is over there. There is no credit card.
Yeah.
That doesn't even exist.
It's crazy. It's crazy to think about.
Actually, one of the guys that helps me with this, distributing stuff there, they don't even allow him to have like a bank card. He went to the bank. It's like you're not even allowed to go to a bank in your own country.
I'm going to show you something, and I'll play it for you guys in the video when I edit this. It's a video of Cuba in 1958 in color. They restored the color because, it was black and white back then. I'm going to see...
I've seen some stuff. I've seen different videos.
Bro,
and
this is crazy. Like, I saw this, and I had seen footage of Cuba, like, from the 50s, from before
Yeah.
Castro took over, and it was beautiful and everything. But I saw this and I said, wow, like that place really was so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
It was practically the United States, if not better. And of course, I can't find it. Where are you, bro? You're killing me. Anyway, I'll show you later, but I'll put it in the podcast.
Habana, hermosa Habana, lindo es tu prado, lindas son tus calles, bello es tu mar. Bon, 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 Habana, a ti llega mi canto, como el gemir de violines que solo tocan para ti. Se ve en el cielo azul paloma como símbolo de paz, que es la gloria para ti. Chua, 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 papá. Habana.
It's wild. It was, I mean, you had other elements there that, you had the mob, you had, which I would recommend. There's a really good book about that called Havana Nocturne. I'm actually halfway through it now. It's by T.J. English. He's writing about the Cuba in the 50s.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't perfect. That's why people
But it
were
was a
trying to get
million-
rid of Batista.
But it was a million times better than it was now. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, absolutely. But it's just funny because like people who are communists, they're like, oh, well, you just support Batista. And it's like, no. People were trying to get rid of Batista.
Yeah.
And then they thought Fidel lied about who he was, So Batista
Yeah.
wasn't good either, but
Yeah.
he definitely was better than Fidel,
Have you seen The Lost City with Andy Garcia?
No. Or maybe I have, but I have to see it
You're
again.
missing
I don't
out.
know. Yeah.
It was such a good movie, bro.
Yeah, I'm too busy multitasking. That's what happens.
Take
I'll
one
take a
day a
break.
month. Take
Okay.
one day a month to watch a
Okay,
movie.
Okay.
You'll like it. It's really good. I think Andy Garcia represents us with with class. I think.
I love Andy Garcia.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of
his.
I'm actually writing a comic book, and I have an idea of how to turn it into a TV series. And I want
He's the one that he did like the Cuban version of Father of the Bride, right?
Yeah, they call. Yeah, basically.
Yeah, yeah, it was
Yeah,
beautiful.
him and Gloria Estefan.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
The scene was funny when he was like, "Oh, Latinx," and he was like, "What's Latinx? What are you guys talking about?"
Yes, X the Latinx. Okay, X it out. Yes,
That's funny.
I'm about to
yeah.
break this microphone. X that shit, bro.
Bring it up a little bit. You break it, you buy it. All right.
Aquí no hay seguro.
No.
Okay, well, I'm gonna leave it right there.
All right.
Yeah.
You're funny. Man. Getting all excited. Anyway. Yvette, it's been great having you on.
Thanks.
This has been a lot of fun.
Thanks. And just tell your people to come out to Fuego on December 7th.
December 7th.
And
You have a link or something to sign up?
on Instagram, just go to Fuego Contra El Fuego.
I'll put the link
Put
of
the little
Instagram
flyer, December
down there.
7th. It's free. Go support the art. It's a good time. I mean,
I love it.
It's a good time. It's not too political. I mean, you're going to hear some stories. You're going to meet
No, but
political
it's a good time.
prisoners.
I've been to the last one, so it was
It's
a
good
lot of fun.
people. I'm learning how to do the drums. We'll probably do karaoke when we're done at the end. So it'll be a good time.
I remember that one of the nights of the last one, I left and came back, and I came back and you were playing the drums, and I looked at you and I was like, and you just went,
Yeah. That's the after party.
that's cool.
So, yeah.
So I usually ask 3 questions to
Okay.
wrap up. So question number 1, what inspires you?
What inspires me? Gosh, so much. I guess what inspired me to do all of this in the beginning, I guess, were the Cuban people, There was one video in particular, and I always feel so bad because I don't even know who the gentleman is in the video. They were putting him in a van, taking him away, and he was like screaming through the window, and he was just screaming like, que no sea por nada, you know?
I remember him.
Yeah.
I remember him vividly.
Yes. So that video, and it's like, you know, they inspired me, you know? My kids inspire me, right? Because I don't want to be someone that's just letting the world change and not fighting back. I feel like our family was forced, you know, to leave Cuba. And, you know, how are we going to immigrate, you know, running away from communism and then just let it, you know, grow here?
Exactly.
You know, and there's a lot of things that just don't come out on the news, and things that are happening behind the scenes that
pretty
people are
wild,
not aware about what's going on. And it's definitely been happening for years, and it could happen here. It really can. You know, so protecting my kids.
There's
you
a
know,
saying
yeah,
that I
inspires
really
me.
like, and I always I think it's Albert Einstein that says it. All it takes for evil to prosper in the world is for good men to do nothing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And sometimes it's just like incredible. Like, just because you're on social media, just writing something, translating something,
Yeah.
it's like that's being considered an activist just because you're voicing your opinion. That's where we've gotten to.
Right.
And it's scary, you know? Yeah.
Second question, what's next for you?
I have no idea. I am just living my life day by day and seeing what happens. I definitely want to continue doing Fuego. I want to just try to find balance in my life so this can be something that I do long term. But I have absolutely no idea what's in store for me.
That's fair,
Yeah.
I guess.
What's next? December 7th. That's next.
there you
Yeah.
That's a very Ivette answer. All right, last question. How do you want to be remembered?
Wow. How do I want to be remembered? Gosh, honestly, a lot of times I don't even really want people to know me, right? But I just want people.
Why?
Why? I just don't want to deal with the drama with people, you know? I just kind of like to be in the sidelines and do my own thing.
But
and-
isn't that
yeah.
counterproductive to what you need?
It is. That's why I'm here. I have to be, you know, I have to be, you know, right here. I guess I just want people to remember me as someone that they can connect to. If they want to be able to do these things, remember me when you have, you know, opportunities, you know, and so that I can further connect and just keep on doing. Just remember me as somebody good, you know? So, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Just remember me for me. I don't know, you know. I have a hard time describing myself.
There's 7 or 8 billion people in the world, whatever that is, and there's only one you. So
Yes. So remember me for me. Yeah.
thank you for coming on, Yvette.
No, thank you
This
for
was a lot of
having
fun.
me. Thank you for having me.
We'll do this again sometime.
Alrighty.
Alrighty, guys. That was another episode of the Montana Method Podcast. Push it to the limit. The world is yours. And if you're not chasing your dream, always remember, life is meaningless, guys. Say goodnight to the bad guy.
I've been out here hustling all my life. Every day we get into it. Really out here in these streets. That's day and night. Like there's nothing to it. When I was going through it, dog, I never got your call. I never asked for nothing, no. But now I want it all. I promise I'ma do it. Came from rags to riches. Rags to riches. Came from rags to riches. Rags to riches. Came from rags.